Hey bee people, for you, could be as late as February. Depends on when you have a look at this, but for me right now, it's just a few days before Christmas, December the 12th. So I'm not supposed to say anything in these videos that dates them or makes them irrelevant later on. I really hope it's irrelevant later on, but we're having to stay home because of the virus. So it's been unique that one of the ways I can talk to you is through this safe format. This month, for reasons that make sense to me but would make no sense at all to you in December, January, or February, I had robbing behavior on my mind. You don't have to remember this, but several months ago, last spring, I wrote about these packages I had that just built up beautifully, spectacularly, and made tremendously large colonies, and the odd trouble that large colonies can give you, and the pleasant problems that too many bees results in. So I went through all of that. I cried crocodile tears. But late in the season, when everything finished up, I had these powerhouse colonies, and they began to spontaneously just rob each other. It was nothing to do with me going back to my apiary that's back here behind the shop. It had nothing to do with me opening colonies and leaving comb laying around. I was not bothering them. I was trying to do paint work and do some maintenance on the property here. Get caught up. I'm a one-man band, and I'm an aging one-man band. So I was not back there tinkering with bees all the time, and yet they still started bizarre robbing amongst themselves, and it really set me to thinking that this is not something that's beekeeper-induced. I think it probably is a direct feature of us having too many colonies too close together. But I'm guessing, and I have no science throughout any of these articles that I write for Bee Culture. I have no original science. But I speculate that colonies are robbed in the wild too. It's just not as dramatic. It's not as noticeable. It's not as obvious. But I suspect that they're robbed out. And what I jumped over and the wow conclusions that I drew based on the fact of different types of competition, scattered competition and contest competition, that these bees are doing some sophisticated work, and as the season ends, this is the thought that I can't prove, but it looks like it would have some interest, at least to me. Picture this. There's nectar coming in. There's pollen coming in. The bees are really actively getting it. They're storing it. Picture this. Season changes. Frost comes, and those floral sources go away, and nothing is left, even though there's a window there. A transitional window when those experienced foragers can still fly. Well, all there is to forage on is their neighbors' stores. Why would they forage on their neighbors' stores? I offer a conjecture that basically all the colonies in my yard, just to narrow it down to that, gets their doorknob shaken by bees from different colonies. And if any of those bees can find a colony that's not really good at repelling them, then that interest grows. So you see, within my yard, there's a selectivity for those colonies who can not answer the door, or if they do answer the door, repel the other robbers potentially that are there. But then there's weaker colonies, or something isn't right. Are they weak population-wise? Are they weak behaviorally and genetically? I don't know. But I do know this, that some colonies in that yard are picked out to lose, and other colonies are picked out to win. And I think that would have a larger meaning and a larger capacity, because it would take the weaker colonies out of the gene pool, give those collected resources that the season just gave to all the bees, but would concentrate them in the more powerful colonies and then give them the best shot at getting through the winter. You know, it's a little bit like somebody on those animals on the Serengeti plains, where the one that can't run the fastest is picked out at the bitter end and everybody runs away and leaves it to its dire situation. So in a sense, it's the ones that possibly could not have made it being taken out. Now, I'm making all this up, viewers. I don't have any science. All I have is just watching, thinking, and doing this for decades and decades and decades. It doesn't make me special. It can make me spectacularly wrong. So I freely admit, this is a guess, and I could be shown by someone who's trained and experienced in these areas where I am fundamentally wrong. But right now, it looks like it's a way to lighten the carrying capacity, or to adjust to the carrying capacity of whatever it is back here in my backyard. Take the resources that all these bees could communally collect, put them into a few colonies that can possibly get through the winter, come out next spring, swarm as much as they can, repopulate the area, and then reproduce this picture again next fall when robbing once again becomes an issue. Robbing will become an issue even in the summertime, during the summer when there's a dearth going on. But here's this. I fully believe that robbing is more than just an inconvenience. It's more than just bees that are experienced and are bored and have nothing else to do other than go out like recalcitrant, delinquent children and harass their neighbors. No, there's something more fundamental with it than that. And I think on the bigger picture, outside of my apiary, that it has a scheme of population dynamic management that we don't get involved in. This has been a fairy tale from the minute I started to this point. But hey, I'm sequestered at home. I got nothing else to do other than think. And you see what happens when you think too much. Thank you for watching. I always appreciate you watching. I hope that you can help me think through this, and by now, getting back to a healthy society and life can go on to a greater or lesser extent the way we knew it before all this was put on us. I deeply appreciate you watching. There's not that many of you who watch these videos. I sometimes wonder if I should keep doing this, not because I'm pathetic or sad, but am I talking to myself? Possibly. Thank you. Bye-bye.